I always feel like travel sketching is a huge waste of time because there's always so much other stuff going on, and I feel like there's not enough time to actually get in a good sketch. And when you're traveling, usually, oftentimes, you're with other people, and so then they have to wait around for you to do your half-baked sketches, which aren't exactly going to be pieces of artwork. And so you're kind of ruining everybody else's day and probably ruining your own day because you're not going to be satisfied with the sketch anyway. And I also feel like it can be kind of overwhelming and daunting to figure out what art supplies to bring with you, because a lot of times when you're traveling, you don't even know what you're going to see, so it's hard to anticipate what you're going to need to bring with you. And so yeah, this year I've really been tackling a lot of these ideas and these thoughts as I've actually gotten to do quite a bit of travel sketching in different locations. And I guess all of these doubts that I'm talking about are really how I feel. I feel like it's a waste of time, that the sketches aren't any good, that it's not real art, that it's bothering everybody who has to put up with it, that it kind of ruins the trip, that I don't know what to do, that I'm either bringing too much stuff or not enough stuff, and it's a pain in the neck to deal with, and it would just be better to not even bother, right? But I think despite that feeling, I think that feeling is almost always wrong, and that there actually are a lot of virtues to sketching while you travel. So let's actually talk about some of those benefits. One of them is that I think it's very tempting and very easy for us to take a lot of photos, snap a lot of pics with our phones while we're traveling. And to be honest with you, however dissatisfied I am with my sketches, I'm almost always more dissatisfied with my photos, to be honest with you, because, you know, when you're traveling, if, you know, you're in a grand landscape like I am here, in the wilderness, the camera doesn't really hardly capture any of the way that the landscape feels. And actually, whenever I travel, I often take tons and tons of photos, but I'm also less inclined to ever go back and look at those photos again. And the thing that I've learned is, like, if I just push through and I let myself do some kind of a sketch, even if it's not very good, even if it doesn't turn out, that process of pausing and observing and just drinking in the scene, and the observation that you go through when you're sketching completely bakes in the sights and sounds and smells of the place that you're in into your memory in a permanent way, in a magical way. I think that's, at least for me, monumentally superior to just taking a quick snapshot with my phone. And so in terms of really preserving the memory and the moment and the feel of whatever it is that you're experiencing on the trip, in terms of like a memento of the trip itself, I feel like travel sketching is extremely superior. And with the idea of like, yeah, but it's not real artwork, I think that sort of misses the point a little bit. We often, as artists, put a lot of pressure on ourselves to have to create incredible pieces of artwork. And like this sketch here, this was one of my favorite sketches, maybe my favorite sketch that I did on this whole trip, and yet I didn't film it because I felt like it was going to be a waste of time and it probably wouldn't turn out well, and I felt, you know, guilty for making the people I was with stop and pause while I sketched. And yet now when I look back on that sketch, I feel great about it. I feel like it totally did capture the feeling. And the thing that's left actually that has more longevity, even if maybe you could critique that sketch and say it isn't really good art and it's not high quality and I was rushed, I didn't have as much time as I wanted, etc., etc. But when I look at it, it totally brings me back to the feeling, the sights, the smell of the pine trees, the sound of the birds, the feeling of the breeze and the sunshine against my skin. I remember that whole day because of doing that sketch. And so I think that it's superior in that way. And in a way, it doesn't matter if it turns out to be great art, because I think travel sketching can often be more important than that. It can actually be about the experience, which maybe in a way that kind of ties into what the whole point of traveling is about as well, capturing the experience of your trip. I often think, a travel sketch like this, maybe it's not high art, maybe it's not going to be framed, maybe it doesn't even mean anything to you. But one thing I noticed is that a lot of times the people you're with love the sketches. I think we are oftentimes much harder on ourselves because we know what we're capable of. And in reality, I gave away a lot of these sketches to my friends, and travel sketches can make really great gifts if you're going with other people. And so I think that's another benefit that kind of goes unnoticed. And then I think for me, a lot of times, like here, trying to paint this waterfall, I felt so under the gun and I was so frustrated, and we needed to keep hiking, but I wanted to try and capture this and I wasn't able to finish it. And, the thing that I guess a lot of times goes underutilized is just the idea, like, you can start something, like a sketch is just a sketch. It doesn't have to be built up into this big thing. And like, if you don't have a lot of time, it doesn't have to be finished, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time. And I mean, like for me, I'm trying to do watercolor and pen and ink and stuff like that, but I think like you can pare down to just a pen or just pencil. You can make your travel sketching setup extremely simple, and then regardless of what you do, like if you don't finish, to me, this is where taking photos and snapshots can come back in, because now I'm back at the studio here and I can keep working on trying to finish this sketch. And really working on this was so enjoyable because I had a photo and a video clip that I took of this waterfall, and this was obviously after I got back home, and you're kind of back in the groove and your trip is over, and continuing to work on this sketch was actually a really fun, relaxing way to kind of relive the trip itself. And so like, as I'm just sitting here kind of chipping away at this sketch, looking at the photo and just like thinking, all these memories are coming back to me from the trip while I continue to work on it. And so to me, that's also another benefit. So I think that really we face a lot of challenges to try and travel sketch, and it can really feel like it's not worth doing. It can feel like it's not good art, and I don't know what this is for, and I don't know what to do. But I think if we push past all of that and just let the sketches be what they are, and maybe give them away as gifts and let it capture the memories for us, maybe even it can turn into a piece of artwork. In the end, it ends up being all worth it. So remember, you have a voice that matters. Go be creative. I'll see you next time.